or the CPA. That you work for 3 months and he takes a deal to the CPA and the CPA says, we can't do that. So get those guys involved, gals, and there'll be referrals for you on future deals, attorneys and CPAs of existing clients.
Yeah. Have you had challenges with any attorneys sort of understanding some of the creative thinking, or is that, they made deals more difficult, or it's a generalization?
Absolutely. But you get them involved early on and see if it's going to stop the deal or not instead of later. But most professionals are there to help their clients. They just don't have some of the exposure to a variety of deals that maybe we've had, and know that there's more than one way to do a deal. Things as simple as owner carry financing. A lot of attorneys don't want their clients to do that. And you got to find out why and then address the problem. So,
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments on this section?
This is a little devil's advocate, I guess, but Ted, have you found meeting husband and wife that, it is one way or the other? You're better off. I know there are times you do need to bring everybody together for a particular type of decision. There are a whole lot of times you're better off working with just one or the other, who's sort of the deal maker, the communication's better, until you get to that hard decision. There could be kind of a refined approach to that, right?
yes, if one of the two partners are definitely the decision maker, you ask them that question. Are you the decision maker, or are you going to have to ask George? Are you the decision maker, or are you going to have to ask Sue? And I just think finding out up front is better. Sometimes having both of them in the room can be contentious, but that's not what I've normally found, but I assume it could be. I mean, look at a divorce situation.
Right.
I don't do divorces. I don't sell houses, and I think, Ramon, did you have a divorce situation not too long ago with a client?
It seems like we actually do quite a few different divorces, but yes, I had that challenging one in Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
It was, in fact, that sort of funny thing. I put a lot of effort towards the deal. It didn't sell, took it off the market. It went back to market, and he thought I was doing something in her favor, but I was actually giving him a good deal, and they ended up going with another broker for the second time around, and the broker charged them significantly more. So, yeah, divorce couples could be challenging.
Yeah, I guess I was just expanding this a little bit. I know absolutely there are times, and tailing off of what you said, Ted, sometimes the husband will say, I am the decision maker, and you have to see them together to really know what the dynamic is there. But, I work with investors, and a lot of times you have so many meetings and so many conversations, and some of those are really important to setting the ground towards what you're eventually going to do with them, and what they're able to do. And there's a whole lot of times you don't want to slow down and have that other discussion, but you really do need to be attuned to, hey, this is a big decision. It will require the wife's okay, and how much of an impediment is she going to be for the husband? I'm actually dealing with a situation right now where the wife is the main contact. That one up in Poudre Canyon, that was her idea initially, and he's important too, to keep his involvement, but he would be so burned out by all the discussions we've had on all the little minutia of the deal. But Yeah, I don't disagree with this at all. I just know there's times you can't do it every time. If you're dealing with somebody 250 times towards a deal, you're not every time stopping and saying, I need the spouse involved too. There's obviously that relationship, but maybe at the beginning and towards the end, when you get those tough times or those important final decisions, you want that other person there too.
Yeah, in this strategy, Bob mentions, yeah, he studied real estate, but he said if he could do it over, he would have studied psychology, just understanding the people side of things.
I like that.
Yeah. All right, let's go to 28. So this one was an interesting one. I missed a little bit on the equity, but this strategy is called the blanket mortgage. And so Abel had a 10-unit apartment building. He wanted to continue to grow his portfolio. And so, there's different formulas to do it, but Bob's talking about a blanket mortgage. So he gives you the details of his property. The property is worth $1 million, has a loan of $400,000 with $600,000 of equity. He has this friend that has another apartment building near his that needs upgrading. It's interesting that he says perhaps has some reverse cash flow, so it's cash flow negative, and or some kind of problem that Abel might know how to sell. Sometimes we have investors that are just wanting to get out of a property. But what he says is he's going to offer a blanket mortgage to secure both properties. And so he gives a breakdown of what that looks like. I can see the $1.7 million because of the two properties combined. The part where I get tripped up on is I'm imagining that the blanket mortgage is he's going to use 600,000 or 300,000 of the equity that he has in his 10 unit.
Can
Or
I
is that
help
just
you
a
there,
different
Ramon?
mortgage? What's
Let me try to help.
Okay, yeah.
Let's say we're buying Baker's apartment at 700 with 400 debt, 300 equity, and we have no money, right? There's no money in this deal.
Okay.
So what's the first offer you would make? You want to buy this apartment. It's got 300 equity. You have no money. What's the first offer you make?
So I would say that I have 600,000 of equity in my property.
No,
Could I act?
forget it.
Okay.
You want to buy my
Can
property.
you-
I have 300 equity. What's the first offer you make if you have no money?
You have to maybe do a seller financing for 100%.
Exactly.
There you go.
That's your first offer. I'll buy your
Non-recourse.
property for full price, but I don't have any money. I got a good signature. I want you to carry back 300,000. Now, what's the logical response to that? Yes or no? Most
No.
sellers.
Okay.
No, you got nothing in the deal, they say. Oh, then we start thinking about blanket mortgage solutions or other solutions. Well, I don't have any money, but I do have 600,000 equity in this other apartment that I've owned for 10 years. And it's full and it's got good cash flow and I know how to manage property. I still don't have any money, but I'll give you a blanket mortgage against your property and my property. So the seller has collateral of 300,000 against his property, the second. And he's got collateral of 600,000 against your property, also a second. So the seller has 900,000 equity to secure his 300,000 owner carryback. His plus yours. So you're normally not trying to carve out 300 here or, some here, some there. Normally with a blanket mortgage, they get all the equity as collateral.
Okay.
Does that make it easier for you?
Yeah, and that's right. So he has down here that the total equity was 600, and I was thinking it was still going to be 900 as well.
Yeah, it's
But I'm
not,
not sure.
it's 900.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so it's very creative way to solve a problem. And so the way that you would write a note, and that note is just secured on each of those properties.
There are 2 deeds of trust, one note maybe, and 2 deeds of trust.
Yeah.
Okay.
On each property. That's an important release provision down there under notes. You know, it'd be nice to, once you get him saying okay and you go to draw it up, have a provision by which you can release one or both of the properties. With maybe it's 100
And that would be
grand,
like if
maybe
you were
it's
going to
for-
sell it.
No, well, if you just wanted one of them released, maybe you can get out of that by a certain amount of time that's gone by, or some kind of advanced principal payment.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah, if you wanted to
Yep.
then sell the other property.
Ramon, the 600 that versus the 900 is how much equity do I have versus how much collateral does the seller receive?
There you go. Yeah.
So those are 2 different numbers.
Okay. Makes sense. Tracy, Christopher, any thoughts? I know Tracy, her mic doesn't work.
In full disclosure, I'm kind of lost in this, in the details, perhaps, or the lack of, I don't know. The whole thing fascinates and confuses me at the same time.
Christopher, do you own a property today?
Yes, I own 3 tracts of out parcels to a shopping center. It gets no income anymore. I had some leased out, but right now
That's
there's no
okay.
income.
What's the total value? Ballpark.
3.5 million.
What's the debt?
0.
Okay, so you've got a 3.5 million free and clear property.
Yes.
Are there properties out there you would like to acquire?
I haven't.
Let's
I have
make
not
up-
been looking.
Let's
That's
make
pretty-
up one. Make
Okay.
up. Let's say there's a $1 million apartment building you would like to acquire.
Okay.
And it's got 400,000 debt on it. So it's $1 million property. It's got 400 debt. The seller wants 600,000 of cash, probably. But you don't have 600 cash. You've got 3.5 million of free and clear equity. So using this blanket mortgage formula, you would go to that seller and say, I'd like to buy your $1 million property. Would you own or carry 600,000? They say yes or no, probably no. Because you don't have anything in the game, nothing to risk. And then you suggest, well, I've got this $3.5 million property. I'll give you a blanket mortgage over both properties. Now, based on what you said a minute ago, I probably wouldn't offer that initially because you said you had 3 tracts. So I'm going to say each one of them is worth $1 million just for ease. So you would offer him a blanket mortgage against his property plus one of your tracts. So now they have 600 equity, 600 security in their apartment on a second. And they have additional $1 million equity in one of your tracts. So they got $1.6 million equity, $1.6 million collateral. And you've just bought a property without any money. using a blanket mortgage format.
Okay. Okay. I got it. And so when you say I offer a blanket mortgage, is that terminology basically I put up my property as collateral, offering a deed of trust to the seller?
Yeah, now, every deal can be done a lot of ways. You can offer them you owe them 600,000. They had 1,400,000 debt. They have 600 equity. You could offer them a $600,000 mortgage against one of your tracts and no second on their property. I wouldn't do that if I was them, but it's fair. You're giving them 600, you owe them, they have 600 equity, you're giving them a 600 mortgage against other property, not against theirs. That would not be a blanket mortgage. A blanket assumes more than one property.
Okay.
And if you can visualize, you got two properties laying there, an apartment building and a piece of land. A blanket just means you cover both of them. It's a covering. That's what a blanket is. It covers you. So you cover 1 or 2, 3, or 10 properties. You can blanket mortgage all the properties you own, if that's what's required to get the deal done and you're willing to do it. But you're pledging all the collateral in anything under the blanket.
And how's he getting paid? Is he getting paid monthly?
We haven't negotiated that, have we?
He's getting a deed of trust for his equity.
But he's not getting paid. The question Christopher's asking is, how does he get money? What are the terms on the blanket mortgage? So that's to be negotiated. It's whatever the apartment can afford to pay, whatever you can afford to pay, how much little he's willing to take. It's a negotiation. So if the apartment's producing 8,000, that's probably high, 8,000 a month net, and half of it goes to the first mortgage of 400, you got 4,000 a month net out of the apartment. You could pay him all of that. You could pay him $3,000 of that or $2,000 of that, or you could pay him that plus money out of your pocket if you have the ability to do that. But that's just to be agreed to.
Okay.
It's like when you sign a note at your bank. It's whatever the terms are on that note and deed of trust.
That's great, Ted. I like how Christopher's looking at it too. You're thinking of the other side. You might think in terms of your $3 million property. If you had to sell, if circumstances were going to change and you really wanted to get out for the 3 million, and the best buyers out there were 2 million or 1.5 cash, and somebody offered you a 100% finance deal, they want you to carry a first deed of trust for 3 million. Non-recourse, what would you say?
Yeah. No.
Well, a non-recourse, you might say no to a.
Oh, non-recourse.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. But if they secured it against $5 million in real estate that you loved, that you said, I would love to own that, I hope he defaults, you're off and running with a blanket mortgage.
Got it. Got it.
As a seller.
Yeah. Good idea, Ross.
Excellent. Thank you all for running that, running through that with me.
Ramon, I've only got about 5 or 10 minutes.
I'm kind of similar.
Okay. Yeah, these last two are really quick. Let's see. This was just about consulting time and figuring again, sort of how are you using your time and what is your time worth? I think that was the key thing with this one. Use your time wisely. And I think in the earlier strategies we read through is Bob would say, I ask myself, would I rather be doing this or out fishing? If I'd rather be fishing, then maybe it's not something I want to spend my time on. So that was a key thing there. This last one, I didn't have it on here. Oh, let's close it right there. For some reason, I didn't have 30 on this one. I think I had 30 on the next one.
Any comments on that one, Ted? Did you read through that one at all?
If somebody calls me for consulting, my first answer is no, I'm not interested. But I'll help you. If you have a question every once in a while, feel free to call, and I'm glad to visit. I think it builds more than the consulting fee. But I do have a consulting agreement now with a broker who's not as experienced and just wanted to be able to talk anytime. And that's $200 an hour, which maybe isn't enough, but I don't feel comfortable charging more. And it won't be much, you know, it might be an hour or two a month at the most. At the last SEC meeting, Ross and Ramon, a fellow presented a mobile home park. And he asked me to consult with him on that to help him sell it. I didn't want to take on that job. That would have been too much time and effort for what I've got going right now in my life. But opportunities come up to do consulting. Or you can, if you want to start a consulting business, you can make them come up. You just got to have something that you can sell your time at that's valuable. But we teach counseling in what we do, which is counseling with your client. And consulting is just the opposite of counseling. Counseling is finding out everything that your client knows about the property and the ownership. Consulting is you telling them everything you know about the property or the situation. So in counseling, you empty your mind to fill it up with the client's information. In consulting, you have to start with a full mind of knowledge that you share with the client for a price. So they're really just the opposite of each other, although we get them all mixed up in this business. Because we like to let people know that we're pretty sharp, that we've been around, that we know how to do deals, that we have knowledge. And it feels good when somebody says, well, what do you think? If you're a consultant, you tell them and charge them. If you're a counselor, you say, well, it's not important what I think. How does this impact you? What's your area of expertise? What's your wife think about this? So you come back with a question as opposed to an answer. It's hard to do though, because you want to tell them how sharp you are. And I do it all the time. Can't help myself.
Perfect question, Ross. I'm glad you asked it because I would have missed right over that. And thanks for the explanation, Ted. That was
actually that was
analogy.
phenomenal. That was beyond, you know, what they're talking about. I think the point they were making on strategy 29 was nowhere near as important as what Ted just talked about. But I think this has to do with just valuing your time. If you're out, you know, break it down. How much is your time worth? Are you spending it on things that are commensurate with what you feel you're worth? Is all they were covering here. Nowhere near as important with what Ted just covered.
Yeah.
But it's kind of important too, because you can go broke if you're not doing that. I find myself working on things sometimes that my time's not worth it. Anyway. But yeah, great, Ted. Appreciate it. Thanks, Ramon.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. And I think we'll get some more people coming in. There was a few people at the last meeting, a few people at the SEC. So hopefully we'll get some more consistent. I also invited. Yeah.
Go ahead, Ramon. Who'd you invite?
I invited Chuck. You know, Chuck's also doing stuff and recording things online. And so, you know, for those people that are interested, I'm going to direct them to go watch his videos and stuff because he has some really good content there.
I was just going to say there should be 20 people on this call.
Yeah.
I could rattle off 10 or 15 names in our local exchange group, Ross, who need this information. Same in the Albuquerque group, same in every group. It's free, it's decent information, and people don't value an hour of their time to get education like they should. They're out chasing a deal. But keep pounding on it, Ramon, and you'll get some more.
Yeah, I think there's
Okay,
value.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Yeah.
folks.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care, guys.
Thanks for joining. Have a good
Tracy
day.
and
Thank you.
Christopher, good to see you.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.